The Supreme Court has refused to prescribe timelines for governors and the President of India to clear bills passed by state legislatures. But the top court signaled limited judicial scrutiny for prolonged, unexplained and indefinite delay in granting assent to bills. This comes after a rare presidential reference was made to the court over its verdict in April, which imposed a 3-month deadline on dealing with bills passed by state assemblies. Ashmit Kumar is here with more on the court action. Ashmit, explain the Supreme Court's observations today and its implications.
Well, first up, it was in the month of April that a bench of the Apex Court itself had granted this order, had directed for a 3-month deadline to be imposed on the President as well as the Governor. It is in response to that we had a presidential reference, which is in the nature of a question. The President is asking a question from the Supreme Court that can such a deadline be imposed by the Supreme Court on the President who happens to be a constitutional office bearer. Now, that was the question, among others, that was being dealt with by the Apex Court. And then, as a part of an opinion, today's the findings that the Supreme Court has given is an opinion. It is not binding on the government. It has a guiding force, but nonetheless, coming from a bench of the Supreme Court of no less than 5 judges, it does carry a significant amount of weight. Now, what does this opinion to the presidential reference say? Well, this opinion clarifies that as far as deadlines are concerned, timelines are concerned, that is simply not the court's power. It simply does not have the remit, the power, the jurisdiction, the scope to start telling the President and the Governor that, look, this is a timeline within which you have to decide on bills that are being sent to you by state assemblies. That's one. But having said that, there are a number of caveats that the Supreme Court has given with respect to powers of the Governor. All of this issue, of course, arose with a number of opposition ruled states, the likes of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, raising the issue before the Apex Court that bills are being passed by the state assemblies, the governors are sitting on them indefinitely. To that end, this opinion by the Apex Court has clarified that, number one, the Governor has 3 options. He can either agree, he can send the bill back to the state assembly, or refer it to a president. What the Supreme Court today clarified is that the Governor cannot sit on it indefinitely, cannot defeat the entire legislative exercise, that it is the cabinet, the elected government that needs to be in the driver's seat, that this is something that the Governor cannot do. What the Supreme Court has also said, that as far as deciding of this granting of assent is concerned, to that end, while the Supreme Court says that no deadline can be prescribed, the Supreme Court also says in the same breath that there needs to be a decision by the Governor in a reasonable period of time, leaving the door open that tomorrow, if there is a situation that a bill is being passed but is awaiting the Governor's assent, the Governor is sitting on it indefinitely. There is a window now available for opposition-ruled governments to actually come and approach the Apex Court. So clearly, the Supreme Court trying to do a balancing act, on one hand saying that no timelines can be prescribed, but also in the same breath saying that governors cannot sit on these bills that are being passed by the state assemblies indefinitely. They need to take a decision, and they need to do so in a reasonable period of time.
All right, Ashmit, many thanks for those details. Now, India's commerce